that's going to guide this moment is found in Hebrews 11. We can start reading in verse 1. It says this, and I need you to hone in, focus for a few minutes right now. It says, faith shows the reality of what we hope for. It is the evidence of things we cannot see. Through their faith, the people in the days of old earned, watch this, a good reputation. And then the author goes from verse 3 to verse 31, submitting names and descriptions of people who had a good reputation of faith. Abel, Enoch, Noah, Abraham, Sarah, Isaac, Jacob, Rahab. Then he gets to verse 32, and it says, how much more do I need to say? It would take too long to recount the stories of the faith of Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, David, Samuel, and all of the prophets. I've decided to title this moment, A Message for Alwayne. A message for Alwayne. You may be seated. Thank you, gentlemen. It is an interesting dynamic when you have to play and preach. It's like you're divided. Now I have to get into preaching mode, so amen, hallelujah. Each time I've preached here at New Life, I've done something interesting in the sermon preparation. I have what is called sermon prep allies. Those people who I depend on to give me a new perspective, a different vantage point, a different way of seeing things when it comes to a growth series and our God encounters. 3 individuals, 2 of which are my brothers, Gerald and Cedric. It is not uncommon for my brothers and I to talk about politics and music and religion. But this time around, I sent them a message concerning legacy, and they gave me some good food to eat. My other ally is who I would call a sister from another mother, Edwina. My brothers and I used to babysit her when we were young. We lived next door to each other. We went to the same church. Edwina is family. As I have done before, I sent her a message concerning legacy, how we want to be remembered. And she sent me back some good food to eat. As I began to feed on what was given me, I saw an interesting dynamic between the messages. I asked Edwina, what would you say are 2 things that makes for someone leaving a good legacy? She gave me 2 words, integrity and serenity. I asked my brother, and Cedric sent me back a dissertation, but I won't read it all, but the second sentence says, concerning legacy, it must be consistent over time and time-tested, where the truth of your reputation will validate your character. It seems almost if Edwina sent me the term and Cedric sent me the definition. So I'm saying to myself, this is good. Okay, now I have a new perspective on legacy. Now I had to ask myself, what does legacy mean to me? This is how I define legacy. Legacy is the manifestation of an individual's ability to deposit into society the gifts, the talents, and acquired skill granted to them by God. Do you get it? A legacy is the ability for someone to deposit into society, into the institutions, into their families, into the community, into your schools, through a lifetime, the gifts God has granted you. That's how you create a legacy. You're depositing what God has granted to you through gifts, talents, acquired skills. What my allies have informed me is that in the process of depositing your gifts and your talents, there needs to be something made aware of to the individual. Integrity in the process and the truth of your character. Does it make sense? Are you following me so far? Legacy, a manifestation of an individual's ability to deposit into society your gifts, your talents. So as I often do, I go through my mental database and I say to myself, who in media, high profile, can live up to legacy and integrity, legacy, good reputation? And I immediately thought of Denzel Washington. Actor, writer, director, 2-time Golden Globe, 1-time Tony Award, 2-time Academy Award, 44 years in the game. One of the interesting movies he made, Training Day, he had one of the best quotes. King Kong don't have on me. Can't say the whole thing. Now, I know Denzel has made some mistakes in his life, but it appears to me that his reputation and his legacy are intact. I thought about Spike Lee. I remember watching this man at a young age and amazed at how he is bringing to light the social issues of racism in America. Actor, director, producer. One of the good movies I saw from him, Do the Right Thing, he was addressing even in the African American culture issues between dark skin and light skin. Spike Lee, although he may have made some mistakes in his life, appears to have his legacy and his reputation intact. My sister, Maya Angelou, singer, dancer, journalist, activist, poet. She has done it all. But what makes her so special to me is the warmth I felt inside as a young boy when I heard the poem, Phenomenal Woman. It's just something that happened inside, like a warmth. You could take something classy and edgy and put it together. She may have made some mistakes in her life, but Maya Angelou's reputation and her legacy appear to be intact. My man, Kobe Bryant, Rip, 5-time champion, 15-time all-star appearances. I mean, we can go down the list. Mamba mentality. But it appears, though, that even though Kobe made a public mishap, it appears his legacy and his reputation are intact. And if you didn't believe that, did you hear what Snoop Doggy Dogg had to say? He wanted to make sure that Gayle King didn't get it mixed up. He was trying to guard Kobe's reputation and keep his legacy. But I think about another athlete who challenges this thing with reputation and legacy. Mr. O.J. Simpson. Now, O.J. was legit in his time on the football field. He broke a lot of records as a running back. But watch this. There is a record he has that will never, ever be broken. the most yards in an NFL season for 14 games. NFL changed it to 16 games, so no one can ever take that from him. Yet whenever I hear about OJ, I'm thinking about that brown glove and that knife, and the knife, and then him riding in the back seat of a white Bronco on I-5 in California with a gun to his head. You say O.J. Simpson to me, and immediately I think about it. And although he's out of jail and he's recluse from society, I still have in my mind the glove and the knife and the Bronco. It appears O.J.'s reputation is waning with his legacy. And when I think about this brother, it shuts it down. Mr. R. Kelly. By your responses, I believe you're feeling me. I don't have to go through his accolades. When you hear R. Kelly, I hear the Me Too movement, women after women coming forth, Surviving R. Kelly docuseries. It just appears R. Kelly's legacy and his reputation are waning in the balance. But I'm confused at our text. Based on this, it's clear, but I'm confused at the text we read. With all of this in mind, why does it say in Hebrews 11:32, how much more do I need to say? It would take too long to recount the stories of the faith of Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah. There's a name missing. I don't understand why King David is there, but not King Saul. I'm confused. How did David sneak in there, but the first anointed king of Israel is missing? So we need to do an investigation. We need to do some research. Can we do that? Let's do some research, because I need to answer this question. Why isn't King Saul in the Hall of Fame? So here's our abstract. Why isn't King Saul in Hebrews 32 and David makes it there? What we have to do is look at some narratives. In studying concerning King Saul, I discovered something. In 1 Samuel 15, God was desiring to bring justice to the Amalekites for opposing Israel when they came out of Egypt. So the assignment to King Saul was, go to the Amalekites and utterly wipe them out. Emphasis on utterly. King Saul gets 200,000 men from Israel and 10,000 men from Judah, and he goes to Amalekites and he begins to war against them and become victorious, and he's striking them down and smiting them, but he spares King Agag. And then he also spares the sheep, the goats, the donkeys, and the cattle. In modern times, that meant that he warred against America, took Donald Trump and all of our wealth. When Saul did this and Samuel heard it, God told Samuel, I regret that I made Saul king. Samuel tries to find Saul, and Saul is in Carmel constructing a monument of himself. Integrity, reputation. When Samuel finally gets to Saul, he calls him out, and Saul keeps making excuses. I did obey. I kept the king and I kept the sheep, but that wasn't what God said. And so, in verse 24, watch this. This is what King Saul said. Then Saul admitted to Samuel, "Yes, I have sinned. I have disobeyed your instructions and the Lord's command, for I was afraid of the people and did what they demanded. But now please forgive my sin and come back with me so that I may worship the Lord." But Samuel replied, "I will not go back with you, since you have rejected the Lord's command. He has rejected you as king of Israel." Could this be the reason why King Saul is not in Hebrews 11:32? Maybe. But then it makes me think of a narrative from David. We've talked about David a lot this semester. David has done some great things, but one narrative concerns me. Springtime, when kings would usually be out to war, David is in the confinement of his palace, snoring in the noonday. He wakes up in the afternoon, goes out on his patio, and stretches. And as he looks down, he sees something amazing. A woman of resplendent and mesmerizing beauty. The afternoon sun is beaming on her body as the water drops are dripping off of her like diamonds. And David, getting warm inside, begins to quote the poem. It's her outreach arm. It's the span of her hips. It is the stride of her step. It is the curl of her lips. She is a woman, phenomenal woman. And David was getting warm inside. He tells the messenger, "Go get her." The messenger gets her. She comes into the palace room, and David uses kingly privilege to hit it. Sometime later, the woman called Bathsheba picks up a phone and calls King David. And fellas, this is a phone call you do not want to hear. "I'm pregnant, boo." Just a service announcement. This has nothing to do with the sermon. Nothing. Gentlemen, you're already doing wrong. But cover yourself. Nothing to do with the sermon. I should be able to say that in 2020. When he hears the news, watch this, follow this. He hears the news. He begins to do some troubleshooting. He calls Bathsheba's husband out of war. Uriah comes. He tries to get Uriah to sleep with his wife. But Uriah is loyal to the military code. He sends Uriah out, and in the morning, David gets a message that your boy was sleeping on the porch palace. He calls Uriah up. "What are you doing? I sent you home. Go enjoy your wife." "I can't do it. My men are intense. I have to keep the code. I have to be loyal." He says, "Okay, I'm going to have a party tomorrow. You got to be there." Uriah comes to the party, and David tries to get him drunk. But even in Uriah's drunkenness, he sleeps on the porch palace. David is troubled. "I got to fix this thing." So he calls Joab and tells Joab, "I'm sending Uriah back. Put him in the front line, and when the war gets intense, draw your men back." Uriah is in war and thinking he's doing what he does. But there was a plan against him, and the men drew back, and Uriah gets killed in war. David gets the message, And he says, oh well. But watch what we find in 2 Samuel 12. After Nathan comes to David and gives him a proverb that calls him out, this is David's response. I have sinned against the Lord. Nathan replied, yes, but the Lord has forgiven you, and you won't die for this sin. Nevertheless, because you have shown utter contempt for the word of the Lord, by doing this, your child will die. I am confused. How is it that they're almost parallel narratives? Samuel tells Saul, you have done wrong, and God rejects Saul. But David does a similar discretion act against God, and the word comes back, you are forgiven? I'm confused. Somebody help me. Because when we're talking about legacy, we've already discovered that legacy has everything to do with your integrity and reputation. That's what the writer of Hebrews started out with. The reputation of the men of old and their faith. It doesn't make sense to me. Saul, his repentance was superficial. David's repentance was from the heart. Saul wanted to murder David. But when David could have killed Saul, he said, I won't touch the anointed. While Saul is going and murdering priests and consulting witches, says that David, his heart is for God. I discovered that David gives us the reason why he is in Hebrews 11:32. He gave it to us in the Word, in Psalms 51. When he realized his issue, he secluded himself and wrote a song, 19 verses, about his issue and indiscretion. Verse 1, I have mercy on me, O God, because of your unfailing love, because of your great compassion. Blot out the stain of my sins. Wash me clean from my guilt of sleeping with a married woman. Purify me from my sin of murder. For I recognize my rebellion. It haunts me day and night. Against you and you alone I have sinned. Verse 5, for I was born a sinner. Yes, from the moment my mother conceived me. But you desire honesty from the womb, teaching me wisdom even there. Purify me from my sins and I will be clean. Wash me and I will be whiter than snow. Oh, give me back my joy again. You have broken me. Now let me rejoice. Hit me with the next slide, man. It's like a flow there. Don't keep me looking at my sins. Remove the stain of my guilt. Create in me a clean heart. Talking about reputation and integrity in your legacy. Renew a loyal spirit within me. Do not banish me from your presence, and don't take your spirit from me. Restore to me the joy of your salvation and make me willing to obey. Then I will teach your ways to rebels, and they will return to you. Forgive me for shedding blood. I can see David writing this with tears in his eyes. Oh God who saves me, then I will joyfully sing of your forgiveness. Unseal my lips, O Lord, that my mouth may praise you. You do not desire a sacrifice or I would offer one. You do not want a burnt offering. And this is why David is in Hebrews 11:32. The sacrifice you desire is a broken heart. You will not reject a broken and repentant heart, O God. There's something I have to add to the food I received from my allies. Yes, your legacy needs to have integrity, and your legacy needs to have truth and reputation of your character. But as you are depositing in your lifespan, there may be a time when you make a mistake. As you are depositing in your community the gifts God has given you, you may stumble a couple of times that could almost stain your reputation. But David is giving you the clue of how to sustain your legacy. He's saying if you ever fall off, there needs to be a sincerity of heart, a contrite heart that says, even in my mess, God, forgive me, because I recognize that I not only hurt myself, but I hurt you. That's why King Saul is not in Hebrews 11:32. He went mad trying to kill David because he was jealous. He never understood what it meant to have a vertical relationship with God and not a superficial one. In my response time, we've looked at high-profile people. We looked at people in the Bible. But is there one amongst us who has a legacy? Alwayne, can you come forward, please? This message is really for Alwayne. I know we've said much about him today, but this message is for Alwayne. From the time I've arrived here, 2017, at Andrews, from the time I met this man, he's been the same. He's walked in integrity, and from my viewpoint, he has kept good reputation. New Life, will you agree with me that Alwayne has been depositing in this place since he's been here? Do we agree? So he is creating the legacy, because I don't feel he's done yet. He's just going to another level. Alwayne's not finished. A legacy is not something you pick up. It's something that is created. And so he is building his legacy. But my message to Alwayne is not to concentrate on the accolades, concentrate on the beautiful voice, concentrate on his ability to come down to earth with you and speak with you one-on-one. His ability to love and his ability to care. That's not what I'm concerned about, because he's shown me that he's a good steward of that. I'm concerned in his legacy that what the enemy is going to try to do is figure out how to stain the depositing process. He's going to do it. He did it with Saul. He did it with David, and he's going to do it with you. He's going to try to stain your reputation. He's going to try to break down your integrity, and he wants to laugh at the process. My message to you, my brother, is that through all of the process of depositing all that you have done and all that you will do, you've got to remain broken. If you think you've come this far by your own doing, you're on the Saul side. But as you keep depositing, my brother, remember to have a broken heart. That if you do fall off in the process, you can say like David, give me a clean heart. That's how you protect your legacy. This message was for Alwayne. As he leaves us, I'm charging him to be a good steward of his legacy as he is depositing wherever he goes, to manage it with good reputation, good integrity, and do it with a broken heart. Love you, my brother. Hug your pastors, man. This is also my charge to New Life. Let me tell you something else that Alwayne did. I sent him a message concerning New Life, concerning his time here. And he gave me a detailed description of what he wanted to see from the musicians, what he wanted to see from the singers, what he wanted to see from the pastoral staff, and what he wanted to see from you. I made the decision that as he leaves, I'm going to share that with the team. An offering, a final deposit, beautiful words that he's given, what solidifies that this man has integrity, a great reputation. And I believe that is blessed. I believe we can put something together where we can share with the body of Christ what he said to you, New Life. But again, we love you, brother. Thank you.